Hello everybody. If you saw my video recently on making a group from some Zelkova seedlings I had, you'll know that I said I was going to do something with some of my larch seedlings, and this is the tree I've decided to use. It's 3 or 4 years old, maybe even more than that actually, maybe 5 years old. It's been chopped in a couple of places and allowed to regrow, so it's got a reasonable amount of movement and taper. And if you saw my last video, you'll know that I have this nice brown pot which I've now cleaned up, going spare. It's possibly a little bit big for this tree. But as my mother always said about my school trousers, that you'll grow into it. It'll grow into the pot. So I'm going to see about cleaning up this pot, this root ball with this tree, so that we can get it into this pot and see if we can make a nice composition of it. Okay, so first of all, let's see if we can't get it out of the pot. It's a very healthy little tree. The buds have, well, they've already pretty much burst. There's a bit of moss around the top. I don't know what the Nabari will be like until we get into it. I used similar mixes now. The cat litter was a different cat litter, and it was much finer, which worked quite well with some of the small trees. Unfortunately I can't get it anymore, but the new stuff works reasonably well. Okay, so it's coming away nicely. A few roots that are winding round. See if I can't find whether we have a decent Nabari or not on this tree to get it started. So I'm going to remove most of the soil. And because the pot it's going to go into is actually a bit bigger than it needs to be, that does mean I won't have to remove too much in the way of roots. I'll just give them a light trim to encourage them to, I want to say back bud, it's probably not the technical term, but you know what I mean. Well, it's not classically pretty, but I can work with that. I'm thinking this is my front, so yeah, I think I can work with that as a root base. As I say, it's not classically pretty, but yeah, we can do something with that. So I'm just going to shorten back some of these long pieces. And obviously when I get it in the pot, I'll be persuading these roots to sit in this plane. I'm quite pleased with the taper of this tree, but unhappy with the movement. I want to lose this piece, which I'm not happy with, and keep that movement going up to there. So down my good Wen cutters, side branch cutters. See, these are completely separate to the ones I use for roots. And so I'm on camera. Boom, it's gone. Too late to change my mind now, so I won't. thinking I might want to wire this tree to get some movement. You might be wondering why it doesn't have a taproot. Actually, whilst we're looking at this, the taproot was removed in its first repotting when it was a year old. So it's, even though it's been in a deeper pot, it has spread its roots out reasonably nicely. Already beginning a flatter root base, just a bit cramped up in that pot. So let me see about finding some wire. Okay, so I've got my piece of wire and I'm going to cut it slightly longer than the length of the tree. I've said before about more tools you have, more likely you are to lose them, and I've lost my nice Japanese wire cutter somewhere. I'm sure they'll turn up. It's a bit annoying. I'm using a pair of old pliers, but still, never mind. Okay, so I'm going to wire this before I put it in the pot. So I'm just going to anchor it at the base, and then work my way up the trunk, trying to stay on camera as I do. Trying not to damage any of these buds. Keeping the wire at a reasonable 45-degree angle. As I've said many a time, I'm not the person to really learn wiring from. I'm not the neatest wiring person there is, but even so, do try a little, eh? Hear my grandfather say, have some pride in your work, boy. Okay, so that's as far up as I need to go, I think. I'm probably going to cut this tree down slightly. This is where my Japanese cutters would just nip that off quite easily without the branch being in the way. Boom. Okay, so this is my front. I'm quite happy with the general sort of movement. I just want to put in a bit of movement in a different direction, and as we near the top, I'm going to lean that over, and I'm going to remove this. What you can see. Oh yeah. Okay, so by bending the tree, I have a new leader just created there. I shall remove that. Remove this piece, shorten that, and shorten that. Okay, so that's just changed the dynamics slightly of the tree. I'm also going to lean it slightly forward. Okay, so the tree's been out of the pot long enough, so we'll get it into the pot with some new soil. Okay, so I've given the pot a bit of a wash, replaced the drainage screens, mix. Control release fertilizer. Give that a good mix so that it's, by the time the tree's roots start to grow strongly down into this mix to find it, they'll have recovered from the burn. Tree is a little bit small for this pot, but I think it will, as I say, grow into it in a couple of years. So a little more mixing in the centre there for it to sit on, and I want that root to come across There. Okay, slightly off centre. Slightly to the rear, and put my hand a little bit more underneath. Plane that I wanted again. Sometimes they struggle a little bit. There you go, that's got it. Okay, so yeah, I'm actually liking that positioning. Now, because remove most of the soil from the roots, what I really need to do is persuading to get the soil to sit in contact with the roots, and just go with a nice gentle, my grandfather called it the gardener's tap. Okay, just want the tree to sit up a little bit more. I just have to make sure I put it somewhere where it's not too windy, and to bring that back a little bit, up a little bit. Beautiful larches are so nice to work with, and they're so flexible. Camera battery is flashing at me, so I'm going to stop it here, change the battery, come back. Okay, so I spent a bit of time fiddling, and changed my mind in that I now think, even though I want this tree to get bigger and taller, I'm going to actually snip it just here, above this bud. There, that's better. Gives it a better flow, I feel, when that shoot comes out. It's going to give it a better flow. So just need to do a little bit of tidying up work. We've got let me see, zoom you in slightly. We have a branch here that is crossing over the branch behind. I'm going to lose that there, and this branch is very long and very straight, so I'm going to shorten it back somewhat, and I probably will lose it in the long term in favour of this one, but I'm going to cut it back part way. I'm going to lose this piece that's growing upwards back to a bud that's shooting outwards. Just lose a few of these just to help compensate for the amount of root that we did remove. But with what we've lost on the top, I think that'll be absolutely fine. Okay, so let's give you a quick 360, and I better give this a drink. Zoom out so that you can see the whole composition better. And we will lose this piece of wire which is distracting to the eye. Okay, there we go. So you can see it's leaning quite far forward, but I like that in this tree. Wouldn't like it in all trees, but I do like it in this tree. There you have it. a larch in a new pot, and it's got a long way to go, but we can follow it together. I'll put it in its own little playlist, and we can follow it through the years. Meantime, thank you all for watching. Please do take care of yourselves.